Bob, Children Driving Robots here.
Pliskin.
Willard.
We're discussing the Great Allentown Comic Con that happened on November 15th and 16th, 2014 at the Merchant Square Mall in Allentown, Pennsylvania. We've been to this con several times before already, and other years it was pretty promising, but this year might be something different.
On a side note, it is held twice a year.
It is held twice a year. Let's start off with the entrance. What it cost us to get in? It cost all of us $20?
Yes, the first year we went, which was in the fall of last year, it was $8.
Yeah, I think all of us are in a similar consensus. It was a little expensive at $20 for one day.
Yes, and then...
It was especially for the events today where none of the guests really got to talk.
Yeah, honestly, we went for Michelle Nichols from Star Trek.
Yes.
And she did not speak today. She was simply signing autographs for the most part. We were very disappointed. Even the anime guest had a weak showing today. And it was for $20, maybe not worth it.
Honestly,
it seems like tomorrow would be the good day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, to tell you the truth, it looks like really what was going on was that the low-tier guests were speaking today. I don't even think, to tell you the truth, because I only saw one panel, and it was the cosplayer, which I'm assuming was someone from Heroes of Cosplay. I'm probably wrong, because I don't know for sure. But it seemed like it was very much an autograph day. It wasn't very much, let's talk about panels day. It was very much, the guests are here to sign autographs today. They're going to talk tomorrow. And honestly, that's the number one screw-up of this year's Allentown Comic Con, because they could have flipped the days, still had the $20 on Saturday, and been fine. The fact that it's $20 today and $15 tomorrow, and there's more of a meaty thing going on tomorrow, is a failing.
Or they should have flipped the price.
Exactly.
Today should have been the $15 day, or even I'm gonna go as low as $12 because there really wasn't that much to do. Because the layout of the Merchant Square Mall is you come in, you think you're in a Comic-Con when you walk in. The first store is comic books, video games, toys.
Yeah.
There's a antique shop which has more comic book, video games, toys. Then you go into a old-fashioned card shop, would you say?
I'm going to jump back on you in a second.
Okay.
Let's stick with the con. I agree with the $15 rate. The $15 rate would have been a lot more stomachable. I want to jump back one more thing with the con. I believe administration was much better this year, at least on site. When we got there were no lines, unlike last year.
That is probably the only one plus that they have this year, actually, to tell you the truth. Because other years, it's been basically the same. That the dealer's room has been practically the same this year. There's one or two dealers that either have not had the prime spots like they had last year, like the quarter comic dealer.
Yeah, I'm actually...
Quarter guy was not in a good spot.
I'm going to say the room was a little worse this year in terms of comics. I thought there was a lot more guests, like vendors, like people trying to have you pay for autographs and stuff. Yeah, there were less. The quarter guy was... I'd say he had a table less. Table less, to be fair.
Yeah.
I didn't even see him.
Yeah. But let's jump back to his Merchant Square Mall. You ever seen the dirt mall from Mallrats? That's the Merchant Square Mall. It's crazy. You go in there, you see everything.
It's really a nerd's paradise. Like, the first time we walked in there, we were like, is this the con? No, it was a comic book video game / toy shop that's open on the weekends. And then there's another one which has gone out of business. This is really a niche mall for people that are nerds or into genre things. Yeah,
it is very much the dirt mall from Mallrats. If you've seen that movie, this is what this is.
Yeah.
But it is an awesome mall if you're in the Allentown area or you can get to the Allentown area. It's worth checking out because if you're a nerd, chances are they're going to have something.
It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
it really is. It's a little bit of everything.
Okay. Also, Pro Wrestling Museum upstairs is amazing.
Oh yes,
probably.
They also sell stuff there too.
One of the sad things is that if you're not going to be going to it in the next by the end of the year, they have a train museum there that will be going out by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And if you like model trains, go see it now. Otherwise, you will miss out.
There's some vacancies at that mall that is getting a little concerning. But let's...
that being said, before we leave the convention, we heard rumors, we weren't confirmed, that the convention is actually moving next, I'm assuming July, but maybe next fall at the latest. to the Allentown Fairgrounds, to the agricultural building, is the rumor we're hearing.
Yes.
We do not know anything about it, but locals have told us that it is a good location and it should be a better showing.
We also heard from other locals that prices for tables in the dealer's room went up, and that's also concerning because we're worried it kind of forced away some of the dealers that might have interested us.
Yes, because one thing when you go to a small comic book con is your guest list is usually D grade.
Yeah.
They had A grade guests, but unfortunately they weren't doing panels till Sunday.
Yeah.
And the cheap comic books were not there in force like they were other times that we've been there.
Okay, I'm going to actually round out the discussion on this. Allentown Comic Con, returning.
I'm still gonna return because the mall is great and really that's the catch for me for the Comic Con. Dealer's room, I never really was interested in the dealer's room. Honestly, the only reason why I went to downtown in the first place is because really these guys go. And I mean, if these guys would go with me on a random date to the mall, honestly, I wouldn't need the Comic Con to go.
Oh, random date.
Oh.
Okay,
Which we will
I'm
probably do sometime this winter.
jumping over to Willard.
We will.
Comments on the con.
The comics in the con?
No, just comments on the con.
Oh, I would give the con a C. It was overpriced for what it was. If we would have been able to go on Sunday, we would have got more for our money.
Yeah.
And we would have enjoyed the anime voice actors and Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yeah.
Sorry, from Star Trek The Original Series.
Yeah, I'm going to say 20 was overpriced, 15. I would like to come back, but I think we're going to have to really take a serious hard look at what's going on in July before we come back.
If it's 20 again, I'm sorry, I'm just going to the mall. I'm not even going to attempt to step foot in the dealer's room.
Well, let's...
It's no offense. I love the people. I personally now know one of the founders of the Allentown Comic-Con show, and I mean I want to support local conventions, but you can't be screwing over your attendees. And at the price you were on a Saturday, which should be your prime day, it just isn't working.
Yeah, $20 was just the bad point. It was not an action point.
Bob and I, you've watched the YouTube videos, we talk about our comic book runs. Usually, maybe every 3 or 4 months, we pick an area of central northeast PA, and we check out all the comic book, video game, and nerd shops. Well, we've hit Allentown several times, usually when the Comic-Con is around, because there's other stuff to see and do, so we do that. This trip, we decided that we were going to hit places that we didn't go before, because we never had time to.
We actually hit a lot of the south end of Allentown. We've hit the north end, Encounters, Comic Masters. We've really hit them. Now it's time to hit the places we didn't hit. First one, Beachhead Comics. I'm going to start here. It wasn't what I was expecting.
It was, if you want a nice local comic book shop, it is the place to go. If you're in that area and you live there, you have a nice little comic book shop. However, back issues might be slightly overpriced.
Stock was aged.
Stock was aged, and not. I mean, it was sitting there for a while. Didn't have a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
I picked up probably about one comic. I wouldn't pick up more, especially being out of the area. Again, I just want to reiterate basically what they said was that basically the things I was interested in was back copies because I'm out of touch with the new stuff. And it was too overpriced for me, being that they were priced as is.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. I don't have anything against him. I like the guy at the counter. He had a lovely dog
He was a good dude.
Lovely dog in the.
Oh yeah,
very
guy
quiet
was
dog.
great. If you're in the area and you want to check it out, definitely check it out.
It's not someplace I'm going to return though. Anyone?
I agree.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's no offense to the dude. He's a great guy. He
Yeah.
obviously knows his comics. It's just that the way he prices his things.
Yeah.
We're a little stingy here, and we just can't agree
Small
with your
shop,
prices.
too.
And he must be doing something right because he has been there for about 30 years. So
Crap.
Okay, we're good. Moving on. Next stop was actually the Black Rose Antique Mall, which is in the South Mall in Allentown. We were actually looking for a supposed comics dealer in here, and we did not find it. But what we did find was a really nice antiques place that had a lot of odds and ends dealers, including some comics and toys.
Specifically for me, it was neat seeing a lot of the things. There was a lot of Star Wars. There was some Star Trek. a lot of Transformers, and you're talking classic. I did see, I don't think it was the original Skylinks, but it looked like it was probably the second model Skylinks. Because it was definitely a spaceship, and to my knowledge, the only spaceship is Skylinks.
The other thing about this mall is, sorry, about the Antique Rose, the Black Rose Antique Mall, is that it's all vendor operated, so it's like a giant flea market. So prices vary from place to place. So you definitely need to check your prices and the condition of the items. Because some people overvalue their stuff.
That is a definite thing. There were some people that knew what they had, and there were some people that just basically, you could tell that they went on eBay and was very lazy and basically, oh, this is what they're selling online? I don't care the condition of my product. This is what I want.
So to sum it up, I saw Micro Machines. I will return. It was like my childhood again.
Yeah, I definitely would return. There was some good deals there. If I had the money, I would have definitely picked up an NES Game Genie. That was there.
Oh, sorry. If I had the money, I would have returned with a original 1978 Millennium Falcon inbox.
Okay, this is our made the trip stop.
Yeah, this was our Nirvana.
They're
of the
new.
trip.
Tales of Adventure. Now, we had to travel down. It's actually in, and I apologize if I butcher this, Coopersburg, Pennsylvania, about 7 miles south of Allentown.
The only way to really explain the shop is the TARDIS.
It is.
Yeah.
We pulled in the parking lot. We looked at it. And we're like, this is going to be a short stop.
5 minutes tops.
We drove past it because we had to turn around to get to it, and we're like, uh-oh. Because we've seen shops like this before, not a lot of space. We walk in there, first thing you see, Hero Clicks. Like, stacks of Hero Clicks. And we're like, well, I'm like, this is interesting. Then we saw the hallway to the back room.
The back room.
Which is not visible from the street.
No,
it is
not
not visible from the street. The back room is probably 4 or 5 times the size of the main area that you walk into.
1,100 square feet.
1,100 square feet? That had about, what would you say, 15, maybe 20 tables with long boxes.
He said he had, I believe, 11,000 comics in stock.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
Yeah.
He had a lot of comics in stock.
And most of the long boxes were $1 or $2 comics with a small section of full price comics at 25% off. Here's the kicker. The full price stuff are what some comic shops would put on as wall hangers.
I was incredibly impressed with his stock. I walked out of there, spent $32.
Yeah, honestly,
it was crazy.
It was the place that we stopped that we spent the most money. He spent $32. I spent a full 10, which for dollar comics is a lot of comics. Willard, I think you stopped with what?
10.
10
but
comics?
I picked up, I spent about $10, but I picked up $2 comic.
Yeah.
Two $2 comics because they were in slightly better shape than the $1 versions.
I think I'm going to sum up my stop here. I very rarely give a shop a 5-star rating. The only other two is Comic Store West in York and the I'm Williamsport.
Well,
America's Most Wanted.
America's Most Wanted.
This shop earned that illustrious 5-star
It was
rating.
clean. It was well lit.
Guy was nice.
The other thing is, besides having the massive comic book room, he had a massive gaming room off to the side.
I'll bet you almost
Tabletop gaming, by the way.
Tabletop gaming.
Yeah.
almost as big as the comic area.
I'm going to say that was bigger.
Obviously, you could tell that the guy's money comes from doing tabletops and a lot of tournaments. And honestly, his prices for Magic cards look like they were deals. Obviously, neither three of us are big into Magic, but from what we looked like, a lot of their cards were very much like steals.
As a Hero Clicks collector, his stock was second to none. It was thorough.
And the interesting thing is, this guy's only been in business about a year.
Yeah.
And if you're looking to trade, I think he'll take almost anything, as long as it's in decent condition. I can't guarantee how much he's going to give you for it. He also had a section of kind of rare video games.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, real quick. They had Oddworld for the PS1, and they also had Legend of Dragoon for the PS1, which is the inferior version of the Dreamcast version, but still, it was $30, which is really good for Legend of Dragoon, regardless of what version it is.
Okay, let's sum this up. Tales of Adventure, Coopersburg, Pennsylvania.
5 stars.
We're all returning.
Yeah,
5 stars.
It was probably pound for pound one of the best comic book shops we've seen in the States so far.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be our last stop. We stopped at one other place, but it was a Wegmans, and you don't need to know that. And I just told you, so there you go. Cloud City Games. It's in Allentown itself. Small shop, not that old. Thoughts and opinions?
Well, these guys actually moved out of New York basically because they were overcrowded there in New York. I mean, New York loves their comics. For a small comic shop, they were very much New York prices. That's the only way I can explain it. They did have a box of comics that were 50 cents a piece. They had some interesting stuff in there, but nothing that you would want to be like, oh, I'm going to start a collection on. It was very much a box that you look at to get fill out your collection. They were actually on average, they were probably at least decent to good value on them.
Yeah.
There wasn't your average out of sleeve pieces of garbage. They weren't yellow. They weren't ripped. Other than that, the only really savior for this shop is that if you are starting out in Magic, you literally can get a huge box of them for like $5. So if you really wanted to start Magic, this is the place to start. Followed by, of course, the last stop, which just talked about. So really, if you want to go to this spot and you want to get into Magic, this is the place to go. Personally, for me.
And if you are the local, that's your local comic book shop. Once again, it is not a bad local comic book shop. Just if you're traveling through, it might not be. It's not a traveler's comic book shop.
Yeah.
If you were the local guy and you're like, oh, I need to get on a pull lister, I'm looking for a few odds and end back issues, probably the place to go. And if you want some, they could probably get it for you.
Yeah, they also had a significant manga selection. It was pretty decent for a store that size. And I was impressed with the Magic cards. It was literally pack a box full of Magic cards for $5. It was a surprisingly good deal.
It wasn't one of those small boxes too. It was just basically a mini long box.
It was not a large shop though, and I think that's its factor. It looks like they do Magic tournaments, and that's probably where they gather some revenue. The guys were nice though. It's just not a shop I can see myself going back
Honestly,
to.
every place we went to, I mean, you could tell that these guys were fans.
Yeah.
It wasn't just someone that's like, oh, I'm going to get into comics because I'm a hipster asshole. No, these guys were legitimate fans of comics. They knew their stuff.
And they're all dependent on their market. They know why people are coming to their shop.
Yes.
Final comments on Cloud City Games.
Honestly, if I ever wanted to get to Magic again, I would probably visit them. But to visit them for comics, as an outsider, no. As an Allentown local, it's a place to stop because you never know when it can have a deal. Especially since they have the 50-cent bin, you never know what's going to go in there. Other than that, like I said, I would just go there for Magic cards personally.
Willard.
I would give it a 3 out of 5. If you're in the area, it is a nice comic book shop. If you live there, but if you're just traveling through, you could skip it.
Yeah.
Unless you're into Magic and you maybe want to try to get a deal on cards, or your little brother or sister's into it, or cousin. But it's not a bad place, just not anything special.
I suspect this is a shop for maybe Southwest Allentown. I believe that's where their niche market is. If you have people that don't want to travel, again, nothing bad. I can't see myself heading back there. I think I'm going to leave on a final comment here. Allentown Bethlehem continues to reinforce itself as almost the nerd mecca of the state. It's a really impressive area, a lot of shops, you have a lot of variety, and it's a pleasure getting to go there, seeing these really passionate owners trying to stay in business and survive. The comic market is tough. Every market is tough right now, and it really provides you a nice variety, and I'm kind of excited to see where it continues to go because we got some interesting news. I don't know when it's going to open right now. Second and Charles is coming to Allentown, and actually Whitehall to be specific. And that just reinforces it further. If you've never been to a Second Charles, check out their website. Used video games, movies, books, part of the BAM franchise. I really suggest checking them out, and that's very exciting they're getting one.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, nothing but good.
On that, I guess closing notes.
Yeah.
Overall trip, what do you think, Willard?
I would give it 4 out of 5. The con could have been better. I would really like to have seen a Shawn Nichols speak. Really wish we could have gone on Sunday, but it just wasn't possible.
Going back to my notes, honestly, We could have just went to Tales of Adventure and skipped the rest of the trip almost. We really could have. They were that impressive. It was one of those rare 5-star shops. Very, very rare.
Honestly, for me, I had a lot of heartbreak. I had a lot of success on this trip. I'm a retro gaming guy myself. Obviously, you will learn very soon that we are going to be doing import gaming. This is something we've been doing for a while. I picked up a PlayStation 1 importer for my PlayStation that will work with importers for $10. Usually runs for about $30 online, so I really got to deal with that. I was looking for a Famicom converter. Unfortunately, I didn't luck out on that. But again, Tales of Adventure, that's where I made up for as a bandit with comics. I got the first almost complete 13 episodes or issues of Ghost Rider 2099, all for $10, which is pretty phenomenal for me personally.
Yeah, the series I'm collecting, I picked up 23 today, and it was a really good price. Almost every one of them was competitively priced.
So,
I would say for the series that I am picking up, I found a oldish book from the early 80s that usually sells between 10 to 20 for $2 in really nice shape. So I was happy about that.
So with that, we are Children Drive Robots, and this is our review on the Allentown area, specifically Comic-Con, and a few of the shops that we decided to travel to South Allentown around the Comic-Con itself. We'll see you later, Dick Punchers.